typically what happens is with the residents is they pour the slab. That's the very first thing they do. So they pour the slab and then a carpenter goes to the site. He has the plan drawing. Usually that is the architect drawing. So what he does from that drawing is he marks out all these stud walls. That's what he does. He marks everything out here. All the stud walls are marked out. That is where he starts. And then all these rebate and all these other things, you have this brick rebate. They are all not very accurate to be on site. So the slab is never accurate. They always generally pour a bit bigger, but sometimes by mistake they could make it smaller also. That will be a side problem for us. But let us say they have drawn pour the slab correct, but don't expect them to pour the slab from, see the set down rebate is there. Don't expect that to be absolutely correct. It is never correct. So they have a big flat slab and then the rebate is somewhere out there, outside that flat area, to some accuracy, not to the accuracy we want for our steel. So anything you dimension from big set down line will be incorrect to start with. So what we should use is the carpenter's mark. That is basically the stud wall without the plasterboard. So the carpenter marks out all these stud walls, and then he goes and erects his timber frame. That's the first work which normally does. Simultaneously, they have our steel drawing marking plan. So they will mark out the column centers. So we need to provide the column centers. That's very important. Okay, it is not enough to give the bolt centers. The column centers should be there because they want to mark out the column centers. Now, once the column centers are there, from the column center we can mark out the bolt center because we need the anchor bolts to be installed. That is how you should mark out. I go over that sequence again. The timber frame will be drawn, slab will be poured, then the stud wall will be drawn by a chalk. All the outline of the timber stud wall is drawn by a carpenter who goes to site and draws, and then they will also mark out the column centers to our drawing, and then they start erecting the timber frame. The steel may come sometime in between. Sometimes it can come early, sometimes it may be a little bit late, but that's how the process is. Now, if you look at, let's look at a model. I'm looking at this model, okay? So what we should dimension, first of all, what we have to identify first thing is how many framing systems are there. That is one thing which we have to understand. What is a framing system? A framing system is connected steel. So if you look at this one, you can say that is one framing system because all the steel is connected to each other. So if any of the column is out or any of the beam is out, then things will not fit together. But this system, these frames, actually not even that. This is another one because it's not connected to any other steel with steel. So what if it moves a little bit there or here? It doesn't really matter as long as the relationship between them is good. It doesn't affect where it has no relationship with this one, basically, as far as steel is concerned, okay? And then a third one is this one, and I think this is timber. So this is another system, and there's another system. So you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 framing systems are in there, but within that framing system, we also need to identify a few things. If you look at this one, because of the drawing, we know that this is a lift. Okay, so the lift has to hold some relationship with each other, which is very important because it is to some lift manufacturer specification. So that you have to take care. So when you're dimensioning the GA, you should not connect one framing system with another framing system with dimensions because there is no relationship. These are all marked off stud walls. They can mark it off stud walls, and that's what they should be. That's how your dimensioning should be. And when it comes to the lift, yeah, they are all connected. So you come up to a point, but within that, you should dimension maybe. Now let's get back to the actual dimensioning of the drawing. So how will I dimension this? So I have to identify the framing systems. So we have identified this one as one system. So first is the timber stud. We have to establish the timber stud from a grid line or wherever, it doesn't matter. A lot of residences have no grid line. May have something, some slab edge or something, or some north mark or whatever, it doesn't matter where you pick it. But you have to sort of establish a dimension for that stud wall. Inside dimension, that is very important, not the outside, inside. This one may be different. On site it may be different, doesn't really matter because we are only trying to establish that dimension, that is one, and then you can say this is basically our datum. The intersection of two stud walls may be our datum, okay? And then you put another dimension to the next stud wall. That basically defines all the four walls for this particular area. You don't want to go to that side of the building because all these columns are relating to this area of the building. So probably you pick up one of these stud lines. The slab will be poured, and this stud wall will be marked. And is there any stud wall here? This is also a stud wall, I think. So this slab also will be poured, and the stud wall will be marked. So what you set these dimensions and these dimensions. This is where our columns are. So that should be set, and this is the main slab. So this will be somewhere outside. Let's look at the model. These two frames, these two things to set up these columns. So what you do is only dimension that. Don't dimension anything else. That one. That one. The 90 degree. Wherever they will draw the stud wall. Okay. So you are showing only how far from this corner this column is, and how far from here this column is. You have to show the stud walls though. And for these ones, you can go from this slab edge. Again, they are in the stud walls. Stud walls will be marked, and you only dimension that. And that, of course, this one from the slab edge. So you got to put a dimension from here as well. So that sets these columns. Let's look at the model. So you got a dimension from here to here, from here to here, here to here. That's all you need to dimension. There's no need to dimension anything from this set of columns to this set of columns. And there is no need to dimension anything from this system, this framing system, to this system. And also, just too complicated. See, look, how many dimensions are there? 1,000,000 dimensions, which cannot be used, number one. And it is also not a good, it really cannot be used. Complicated and it takes too much time. How many dimensions are here? Hardly anything. We are just this one actually not required, but I stick it in just to so that they can cross check as to whether we did it right. It doesn't matter. All they require is these 3 columns there and these 4 columns there. That's